And when I think about leadership, to me, and the best definition keeps getting simpler for me over time, and it evolves. But my current definition of leadership is creating value with and through others. So I think we as leaders create the environment from which everybody creates value. But talk about your leadership style. I've heard you talk about servant leadership, but it's not just that, it's so much more. So what is leadership to you, and how does that manifest?
Yeah, I think leadership for me is understanding understanding that I get to sit in the seat because of the people around me. Without the people around me, I don't have a workplace to come into. I don't have a seat to sit in. I don't have a company to run. And so I think first and foremost, you have to recognize and be grateful for the people that show up, whether it's, you know, half-assed or not. They're showing up and that awards you the opportunity to be there. I would say secondly, being transparent. There I understand as leaders we can't be transparent about everything, but there's very few conversations and issues and things that happen within the business that have to be completely confidential. And so when you start to open up some of that transparency, I think that you get a lot of that buy-in that I talked about earlier when people aren't walking on eggshells of like, am I going to lose my job? We're going through a very tumultuous time in our country. And so if you can have those conversations and be transparent as much as possible with your employees, I think that you get a level of buy-in and you also get this level of relational trust. And we're not friends per se, probably. I'm not going to go out and get a beer with my direct reports, but we've built enough of a relationship that they know where I stand with them and they feel comfortable to come in and have those conversations and ask the questions. And sometimes I have to say, I can't talk about it. Sometimes I have to say, I don't know. And I would say finally is stewarding. Like when we talk about servant leadership, it's being a steward of people, right? You are again awarded the opportunity to lead people, which is something to be proud of, but it's also a big responsibility. Like you have people that you're responsible for, that they're ultimately responsible for others, feeding children, putting roofs over heads. And when you can think about it from that level of, these people again are not just showing up for a paycheck, they're showing up for a greater good. And I'm responsible to ensure that we are doing well so they can continue meeting their responsibilities and growing them. Like for me, I feel such a responsibility to give back. I had so many amazing opportunities and I'm so excited for all the opportunities that I still haven't experienced, but they were given to me freely. I mean, 4 to 5 months in, I didn't have to have the trust for someone to be like, you can run our $7 to $8 million company from the finance side of things. But there was that opportunity. And there were so many after that didn't have to be given to me, but were continued to be given. And so I feel a responsibility to give those opportunities back. People are going to fail. That's okay. Hopefully they're not making the same failures over and over again, but giving those opportunities and giving back to people that may not be qualified, that aren't the sharpest crayon in the box, they have the same skill. Like they have the same abilities to get there. It may take them a little longer. It may take them a few more tries, but I feel such a responsibility to give that back. And we have leaders that, are leaders by title only, and they hold these roles because of pride or ego or what have you, and don't give back or hold their roles and remove those abilities or opportunities to others. And what I mean by that is if there's someone that's going to take my seat someday, I hope they are, because I have bigger things that I want to do. I've got books that I want to write. I've got so many other things on my to-do list and my aspiration list that I want to do. And so there is somebody that's going to come along and take my seat someday. And when that person comes along, I have no problem stepping aside. If they're the right person for the role, if they have the skills and they have the passion. And I think so many leaders don't have that same mindset. It's hold information close to the vest. This person's not ready. They don't have enough time in the industry or in the business. And they're so worried about holding this role, and it becomes this level of fear. For what? Uh, so hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah, and I look at that and say, are you focusing on how you're seen, or are you focusing on the value that you can create with others? And when you focus on the value side of it, it's not that important how you're seen. Like titles never really meant much to me, but here I am, basically leading all my companies, so it's easy to say. Uh, but I didn't care. We're here to create value. I'm on the front lines. I'm wherever I needed to be at every point in time. If it was critical for me to be there, it didn't matter what it was. And one of my companies, it was a global aerospace business, thousands of customers, 60 countries, and I went just about everywhere as that thing was being built. And uh, you do whatever it takes, and I've heard you say this too. If you're leading by example that way, we're not doing it. So, oh, look at me, I'm willing to go out and sweep the floor. No, no, no. A customer's coming in, we're sweeping it up because nobody took care of it beforehand, and then we're going to address that, in the future. But we lead by example. We lead by focusing on the value we want to create, not how we're seen. I think that's a really big message for up and coming leaders or leaders that are actually there. What is it all about for you? Because I can't feel great inside for those that are there for the wrong reasons, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and I say the same thing. I wish that I had a way to express exactly what you just said, because I've said that so many times. And, I don't care if you call me the janitor, but that's easy for me to say in my role. And I know that that's what people, that are up and coming say. Like, that's easy for her to say she wants to be the janitor when she's already achieved a CEO title or a CFO title. But to that, I guess what I would say is, if you are chasing a title, you're probably doing it for the wrong reasons. When I came in as the executive assistant to the CFO, I wasn't chasing a title. I wasn't I wasn't vying to become the CFO. And even when I got to that CFO role, I wasn't vying to become the CEO. It happened through opportunity, through, you know, taking advantage of everything that came to me, and never saying no, and just pure curiosity. And so for the up and comers, I would say, if you are chasing a title, I would challenge you to dig really deep and understand why. What is the why behind the title? Is it, and I've had these conversations with some people, when you ask the five whys, like, you continue to ask why. And a lot of them, when you really have those conversations, it's, well, because I want the accolades. And then it's like, well, why do you want the accolades? Well, because it comes with pay. Well, why do you want the pay? Well, because I want to be the most successful of my, ring of friends. Well, why do you want to be the most successful? Well, because it will make my parents proud. And when you start to dig, it's like, you're not doing this for you. What makes you happy? And when you can really dig into that why, which will take you to a very vulnerable place, which is probably why you love running, why I fall in love with running, is because you get a chance to get so vulnerable with yourself. And why are we doing this? Why? I'll tell you, my why is not because I'm a CEO. It's because I get to walk in and see the growth and the humans that allow me to sit here. It's showing up and seeing our customers, face adversity in getting their products to shelves. It's it's so much more than a title. And I think that people really need to dig deep and understand truly what their goals are and what brings them purpose and their personal value.